Hello and welcome to the program. Ukraine announced the creation of the Anti-Corruption Court back in June. The next step was selecting the judges. The High Qualification Commission of Judges of Ukraine announced competition for 39 judges of the High Anti-Corruption Court. The submission of documents lasted from August 8th till September 14th. So who will become the face of the new institution? We're joined by Markiyan Galabala, the Deputy Head of the Temporary Special Commission for the Inspection of Judges of General Jurisdiction Courts. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
So, who will be the new faces? What's your take?
We will see the general picture, in my point of view, just in 2 weeks, because the deadline for submitting of the documents for the selection process is ending tomorrow at 14th of September. But since the documents shall be submitted via post offices, in fact, just in 2 weeks we will see who have submitted those documents. But these documents that are already on the web page of the High Qualification Commission of Judges are showing that the majority of applicants are the judges who are at office at this moment. Then there are a lot of applications from the attorneys at law, advocates, and also there are applications from the legal scientists.
Right. So how effective do you think this new institution with these new faces will be?
Well, it's hard to evaluate because a lot of obstacles regarding the creation of High Anti-Corruption Court have been met already. Because as far as you know, for Ukrainian civil society demanded to create this institution for the last 2 years. And just in the summer of this year, this story has become the successful one, and there was a bill that was adopted by the Parliament of Ukraine, signed by the President, regarding the creation of the High Anti-Corruption Court. This history, with so many obstacles for creation of for this court, in my point of view, proves that the functioning of this institution will not be so easy as it could be comparing with the general courts, because since this court will deal with the high-level officials, with high-level corruption, many political actors of Ukraine will try to push the judges and to create problems for them.
And who do you think those political figures will be that will try to stop the process?
Well, I think that it will be the persons who committed some kind of crimes concerned with high-level corruption, and unfortunately there are a lot of them in the high offices of Ukrainian authorities. So in my point of view, there will be a lot of clients for the High Anti-Corruption Court who will try to push the judges, and taking into accordance that many of these political figures are not just the state officials, but they are quite influenced guys in Ukrainian society. So they will try to push and to even to create some kind of fear for the judges of the High Anti-Corruption Court, in my point of view.
So, in your opinion, do you think there's still some shadowy, corrupt figures among different levels of the government?
Absolutely, I am for sure. Unfortunately, in my point of view, at least half of our high profile of political figures have some kind of corruption background, because unfortunately our political system is based on the corruption basis, because if you want to become a member of parliament, you have to own a lot of money. If you want to become the minister of the cabinet of ministers of Ukraine, you have to deal with some kind of corrupted guys who will try to push their interests and to lobby them, and try to do it not in a legal way, but just with a bribing way.
Right. So, a couple of the contenders for these judges for the Anti-Corruption Court have been published and are potentially going to be the new faces of this anti-corruption court. Some of the anti-corruption activists have voiced their concerns over some of these individuals, claiming that they have potentially shady or links. But they were still chosen apart from that. How do anti-corruption activists feel if even when they voice their concerns, they're not being considered? Nobody's taking these candidates off the lists.
Well, unfortunately, I absolutely agree with you, because the selection process of the Supreme Court of Ukraine that have been conducted a year ago was not so transparent and based on the law as it could be. There was civil society representatives in this process who we call the Public Integrity Council, and they make a negative conclusion regarding some candidates, but unfortunately their conclusions have not been taken into consideration by the High Qualification Commission of Judges. But if we compare this procedure with the procedure of selection of the judges of anti-corruption courts, it's a little bit different, because some kind of crucial role in the selection process now will be taken by our experts and representatives of our international partners. And now, if we compare the legal tools of this authority, of this body of international partners in this selection process with the public integrity councils, they have more legal tools to have the impact on the process. They in fact have the veto power and to veto some candidates that are not following the criteria, for example, of integrity or something else.
Right, I see. So it's quite a long process. But do you think this influences how anti-corruption fighters and lawyers and activists, how they see their opinions, whether they matter or not? Do you think there's a fatigue among anti-corruption fighters?
For sure there is a fatigue, unfortunately, because very often their opinion is not taken into consideration by Ukrainian authorities. And for sure some candidates who will try to become the judges of the High Anti-Corruption Court will not be in compliance with, for example, the criteria of integrity. And I think the civil society will follow this process, and they will draw the attention of our international partners who will be whose representative will be in this selection process, and they will try to veto this candidates on the first stages of this process.
Right, so some kind of process is underway and it's being monitored from the outside. So what's your take on how the government is handling this process and the whole process of the anti-corruption court being established?
Well, since the procedure just have been started on the August of this year, it's hard to make some final evaluations of that. We will see just on the next stages of the selection process, when the candidates will make the tests, when they will make some written tasks, etc., etc., and we will see it by the scores that will be given by the High Qualification Commission to concrete candidates. And just after that, we will see how the process have been transparent or it not been transparent. What was the influence of the political figures of Ukraine in this process, etc., etc. So now I think it's too early to make some kind of final conclusions.
Right, so you wouldn't make any assessments now. I'm sure you've heard about the news that the Minister of Infrastructure, Volodymyr Omelyan, he has been under scrutiny for some assets that he failed to declare. So what's your take on this? He's previously said that he will be scrutinized and he will be in the spotlight, as reported by Reuters. So what do you think about the situation?
I'm not ready to make some assessment regarding this final assessment about this criminal procedure, because in my point of view, the final decision shall be taken by the court who will hear this case. And for sure, Mr. Markiyan have now more legal tools to influence on this criminal procedure, because now he received the legal status of defendant, and just from this moment he can give his own proofs that shows that he is not guilty. So there are also the advantages for him that are concerned with the Criminal Procedural Court of Ukraine, because before that moment he was just had no legal status in this criminal proceeding. So I'm sure that his legal representatives, that his attorney-at-law will do their jobs very well, and they will provide the court with the proofs that shows that his client is not guilty. And we will see this like a kind of fight or between the prosecution and between the defendant.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your assessment and for giving us a more clear picture of what has been happening with the Anti-Corruption Court, and for explaining a bit more about the workings behind it.
Thank you.
So we've been joined by Markiyan Galabala, the Deputy Head of the Temporary Special Commission for the Inspection of Judges of General Jurisdiction Courts. You're watching UATV.